Page 7. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanje jodo soge chonam la chanju bardo dane gyapsunje age jinso jive sonam ge dola penjire sanje jubare sho sanje jodo chanju bardo dane gyapsunje dage jinso jive sonam ge Dola benjir sanje dubare sho, sanje choda soge chonam, chanju bardo dane gyapsu che, dage jin soge be sonam ge, dola benjir sanje dubare sho. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of causes as well as taught by the Gracia. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum deshan tathagato hyavatat desham chayo nirodha evam bhati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum deshan tathagato hyavatat desham chayo nirodha evam bhati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum deshan tathagato hyavatat desham chayo nirodha evam bhati mahashramanaye swaha. Om gati gati paragati parasam gati bodhi swahatyata. 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 Om gati gati paragati parasam Swaha. Okay. Arideva, the disciple of Aranagarjuna, Arideva said in his 400 verses, there's one book, but the title 400 verses. There he said that those with less merit will not even have a doubt in this teaching on emptiness. Should there be a doubt, it will shatter samsara into pieces. Those with less merit will not even have a doubt in this teaching on emptiness. Should there be a doubt, it will shatter samsara into pieces. So what it says is that, say, the teaching on emptiness, the wisdom of emptiness is so precious, in fact, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, whenever he gives teachings, so now many of you already attended His Holiness teachings, you know exactly where His Holiness places the importance and the focus and the emphasis. He emphasizes so much on the wisdom of emptiness and Bodhicitta. So these two, in fact, His Holiness goes to extent of saying that, say, we have all these, the Hatha Yoga Tantra empowerments, the teachings, practice, and so forth. Should somebody be practicing the Hatha Yoga Tantra, genuinely practicing wholehearted with concerted effort, practicing the Hatha Yoga Tantra practice with all these dissolution process and so forth, then His Holiness says that we're not too sure whether you can actually let manifest these experiences, or you be able to identify these experiences at the close to the time of death. But if you do engage in the practice of bodhicitta, if you do engage in the practice of the wisdom of emptiness, these two things, then no doubt that at the time of death you'll be able to recall these two practices, and also that they direct you towards a favorable birth next time. So this, oftentimes His Holiness mentioned this. So with this we see that the Arideva, the disciple of Aranagarjuna, 2nd century AD, the date-wise there is little the same, the discrepancy. Some texts mention is like, say, the 3rd century AD, 4th century AD, and some say 2nd century AD, no, the 3rd century BC, 2nd century BC, and some say it's 2nd century AD. So it doesn't matter the date as much. Of course, if somebody is very particular about that, you can explore. Otherwise, we need to know what he said, what we can benefit out of what he said. So this is, if we can learn. So he said that those with less merit will not even have a doubt in this teaching. Say, a teaching on emptiness is given. And then instead of feeling joy, you just see this as, okay, any other talk. And then you are least bothered to follow that up later on. So whereas someone, let's say, when you hear about, things are all empty of objective existence, so within this emptiness, then everything functions. When you hear this, just there's such joy coming in you, or you have a doubt, little bit of doubt, what is this emptiness? For sure they are not saying that nothing exists. What is that? It's quite interesting. You have such a feeling coming in your mind. It's a clear indication that you are very meritorious. Very meritorious, and this inquiry will shatter our miseries into pieces, meaning that the miseries will disappear, because this is the gateway to get to the wisdom of emptiness, which is the final remedy to overcome this self-grasping ignorance and thus severing all the miseries. So this is so precious. Okay. So with this in mind, I'd like to very quickly introduce to you the four schools and then how the emptiness is understood by the four schools in a very brief form. The four schools for the time being, of course there's the discussion, which school is better, which school is subtler, and so on. There's all these discussions happening, very interesting discussions. For the time being, what we do is that we try to learn it in this fashion, and it is not necessary that what I'm saying should be the final authority, or there should be anything else being said, or say, actually it's not me who's saying this, it is in line with the basic trend which the Tibetans inherited from Nalanda Monastic University, brought to Tibet mainly by the Indian Pandit Bodhisattva Shantarakshita, right? So even though it was brought to Tibet by all these greatly enlightened, amazing scholars and the saints, but still, we should not confine ourselves to say that, what the Tibetan Buddhism said is correct, and what others said. So if something is there's a discrepancy with Tibetan Buddhism, then we just ignore. That's not the truth. So what we do is that we study all traditions, and finally, we should be benefited. It's not that which is superior, right? We should be benefited. With this mind, just learn all these traditions. So one, say there are so many teachings. And then with emptiness again, there are so many books available. There are so many very standard texts available. So if you try to grab at everything, you will end up nowhere, right? So instead, grab at one thing, know this well, then go to others. Study others, you will see that everything is so simple. Right? In fact, the great Bodhisattva, Atisha Devangara Shirikana, he said one thing interesting. This is not really for the Singaporeans, it's for the Tibetans. Right? He came to Tibet, he was invited, and such hardship went through. But the Tibetans, to invite him to Tibet. Finally, he was in Tibet. And then he was seeing how the Tibetans were doing, observing, and just see whether it is relevant to the Singaporeans also, or to others, all the participants here. Just see whether it's similar to your situation. So, Tibetans were so fond of, so in those days, nowadays, still same. So the Tibetans were so fond of receiving so many teachings, so many empowerments, right? So many deities. Then Adisha Dipingara Shirikana made one comment. He said that, you the Tibetans, you are so keen for hundreds of deities, and you don't accomplish even a single deity. Right? You are so keen to practice this, and hundreds of deities you practice, meaning you're practicing so many deities, and you don't accomplish even a single deity. Whereas the Indians, he said, they practice only one deity and they accomplish 100 deities. Right? So when one accomplishes in one practice, this will open the gate to all the other deities. So you have vision of all the other deities. So this is what we need to do. With this, what I like to say is that, particularly with emptiness, bodhicitta, and these things, you will learn one book very seriously, and then read any other book. You'll see this so easy. They're all just like copy, right? Whereas if you study all these things without getting one properly, you see that everything is different. They are saying all different things. They're all contradictory. Then you get lost, and you may just say, you may quit altogether. You may relinquish altogether. So this is a danger. Just grab on one, Bodhicitta, one, Vishma Emptiness, one. Of course, you can read other books, but you rely on one book primarily, and then once you get it very thoroughly, particularly with teaching, that is extremely helpful. That will clear many things in your mind. Okay, so with this, the four schools. The four schools. So, Vaibhashika, Sautantrika school, and what is next? Chittamatra? Madhyamika. Within Madhyamika, there are two. What are they? Savatantrika Madhyamika and Prasangika Madhyamika. Okay, these we should have them on our fingertips, right? Whether you are beginners or whether we are... Now you are no more beginners, you already did 3 days, right? You are no more beginners, or now we have no more beginners here. Okay, right? Okay, so the Sautantrika school, Vaibhashika school, Sautantrika school, Chittamatra school, Madhyamika school. Within Madhyamika, Sautantrika Madhyamika and Prasangika Madhyamika, right? Try to learn them and see if you can even pronounce them well. Okay, so these schools, how they were put in this order sequence. From what we're going to learn here is that they are put in a sequence like steps in the form of steps, like staircase. So the first is Vaibhashika. The position of the Vaibhashika, the philosophical positions of the Vaibhashika, is very much in line with the ordinary people's thinking. Mundane, non-philosophical people who are not really exposed to philosophy. Without exposure to philosophy, these people, their thinking, thought processes, and the Vaibhashika's philosophical positions are very similar. It's the first step. Okay, so there we simply learn many things, not necessarily very profound, but simply many things. For example, say when you go to learn a language. It's simply learning, okay, how to say Tashidele, how to say what, say the Sheshe, right? So say just, okay, this word, this sound corresponds to this meaning. This is how we learn, and we may not go into the depth, right? Of course, even the linguists, the linguistics is very complicated. Yeah, if you go into the depth, there are so many things to go into depth. For example, as Sanskrit, then the Greek, right? And then Latin, they can really go into the depth. Okay, so the Vaibhashika, the philosophical position is very much in line with how the ordinary people, their thought processes, right? And the Vaibhashika's thinking, they are very similar. Only thing is that it will enrich you with more information. More information may not necessarily be into the depth by Vaibhashika. Now, what is so unique about the ordinary people? Ordinary here, there are so many connotations. Ordinary who are not exposed to philosophy. What is so unique about them is that they believe things to be so solidly there, objectively there. This is unique thing about the people who are not exposed to philosophy, right? Things are so solid. Meaning, the flower is there, it has nothing to do with my mind. It's so objectively there, solidified, right? Okay. And in worst case, not only solid, they exist as permanent, right? They exist as permanent. Okay. So, and this is how the people who are not exposed to philosophy, and this is their thinking. Something so objectively real, something so solid, something so static, permanent. This is the ordinary people's thinking. Now, you go to Vaibhashika. Vaibhashika say the solidification is not really dissolved as much, but it will dissolve a little bit. This we will study now. Vaibhashika. Vaibhashika. Then you go to next. What is next? Sautantrika. So Sautantrika is there. The breakthrough starts from Sautantrika. Breakthrough in philosophy starts from Sautantrika. How? Sautantrika, for the first time, you will be introduced. You will be formally introduced. You will be formally introduced to the concept that things may not necessarily exist objectively. Things can come from your mind as well, right? So this is more formally introduced in Sautantrika. Some form of this is there in Vaibhashika, more formally introduced in Sautantrika, meaning that, okay, things we interact with, the world with which we interact, the world with which we interact. So there, it is not necessary that everything should be 100% from the object. Everything should be existing from the object. It is not true. Many things exist from the object, but there are some coming from a mind also, right? Some coming by the power of the mind. So the first introduction, the breakthrough in our perception. So that is first made in South Tantra school, more formally. This is my qualification. More formally, made in South Tantra school, in a way saying that while many things exist 100% from the object, but there are things which can exist by the power of your mind also. So this is more formally introduced for the first time in philosophy by South Tantra school. Number 2. Number 3. Number 3 is, what is in the school? Chitta Matra, mind-only school. There, of course, we keep in mind that these different schools, they were all taught by the Buddha. They were all taught by the Buddha. For example, Chitta Matra school, the Buddha at one point taught that all three worlds are but your own mind. All three worlds are but your own mind. Right? So this is what the Buddha said. So this is the ground for the Chitta Matra philosophy. Saying that everything that you see in this world, three worlds meaning the desire realm, form realm, and the formless realm. The whole samsara can be classified into three groups. Desire realm, form realm, formless realm. Desire realm is consisted of, again, six divisions within desire realm. Hell realm, hungry ghost realm, animal realm, human realm, deva realm, and the asuras. Asuras and devas. Okay. And the hell realm, hungry ghost realm, animal realm, human realm, asura realm, and deva. Actually, asura is a part of deva. Right? So anyway, 6. These form the 6. Then the form and the formless. Form and formless, they both fall under the category of the Deva Devis, but very high level of the Deva Devis. Form realm and the formless realm, 3 divisions. Okay, so these 3 worlds, the Buddha said, these 3 worlds, all 3 worlds are but your own mind. Saying that, okay, how many of you came from outside this hall into this hall? How many of you came from outside this hall to inside this hall? All of us here. But this school will say that there's no outside and there's no inside. They say that in this school, there's no outside and there's no inside. But we see outside there. This is illusion. We see them as outside, right? Okay. Say in your dream, you imagine that you in your dream, you are from your house, you go to your job in your dream. Let's say, and then you go into company's building, into the building. Then your friend tells you, where do you come from? I came from outside. In the dream you will say this, you agree with me or not? In the dream you will say that I came from outside, right? Okay. When you wake up, was that outside or inside? When you wake up, you realize that there's no outside there. It was what you saw as outside going inside, it was just my dream. It's just both coming from my mind. There's no outside there. So this school, which school? Chitta Matra school says that there is no externality. There's no external. There's no externality. Everything is internal, just your mind, right? Okay, now to be very precise, instead of saying everything is mind, what we have to say is that everything is of the nature of mind. There's a difference between the two. Everything's mind and everything's the nature of the mind. There's a difference. Right? Okay. Say this school will never say that this flower is mine. They will not say that this flower is mine. This flower is nature of the mind. You're getting it? Okay, let's see. What is the difference between these two? You want to know this? How many of you want to know this? Right? The nature of mind and the mind. How do you distinguish the two? How many of you would like to know that? Raise your hands. Okay, good. So let's see. The mirror. Mirror is like the mind. And the reflection in the mirror is like all other phenomena. The reflection in the mirror, is it outside the mirror or inside the mirror or mixed with the mirror? Reflection, same. You are driving cars, right? Cars, or you are looking in mornings. You are looking in the mirror. So your reflection in the mirror, reflection mirror, is that say this is mirror, and the reflection is it outside the mirror or inside the mirror or mixed with the mirror? Huh? Outside. If it's outside, remove the mirror. It should be still there. Image should be still there, right? So it is not outside. If it's outside, from the side you should be able to see that. You cannot see it, so it's not outside. It's not inside. Inside means you go behind the mirror, you should be able to see it. It's not there, which means that it's mixed with the mirror, right? It's mixed with the mirror. And yet you cannot extract this reflection outside. It's mixed. But reflection of a flower in the mirror, reflection of the flower in the mirror, is that the mirror, is my question. Is that the mirror? Huh? No? That is not the mirror. Okay. How can you say that it's not a mirror? Reflection changes, but the mirror remains the same, right? Reflection changes. You remove the flower, you put say a book, then the reflection of the book will come there. But the mirror is the same. So reflection changes. So reflection is not the mirror, but it's the nature of the mirror, right? Because it is not separate from the mirror. It's the nature of the mirror. It is not the mirror. Reflection is not the mirror, but it's the nature of the mirror. Likewise, say everything that exists, they are just a reflection in our own mind. They are not the mind. They are the nature of the mind. Just as the reflection is not the mirror, it's just the nature of the mirror. Likewise, everything is the nature of mind, but not mind. This is according to which school? Chittamatra school. So what they say is that there's no external reality. What really exists is the mind, and everything else is the nature of the mind. They are the reflection in the mind, right? And there was a huge debate. There's a great debate going between the Chittamatra is a great philosopher. Acharya Chandragomi, that was perhaps in 7th century AD. 7th century. Acharya Chandragomi, a great proponent of Chittamatra philosophy, great Chittamatra philosopher. And then Acharya Chandrakirti, a great Prasangika philosophy, the philosopher. So two of them had debate. Okay. For how long? 7 years. 7 years they were debating, right? Okay. And Acharya Chandrakirti holding Madhyamika philosophy, particularly Prasangika philosophy, and Acharya Chandragomi holding Chittamatra philosophy, right? And Acharya Chandragomi came to hear about the fame and the refinedness scholarship of Acharya Chandrakirti. Likewise, Acharya Chandrakirti heard about the fame and the refinedness of the philosopher Acharya Chandragomi. So what happened was that Acharya Chandragomi was the Upasaka, a lay practitioner, and Acharya Chandrakirti, a monk practitioner in Nalanda. So Acharya Chandragomi, he just casually went there without any forewarning. He went there, and Acharya Chandrakirti was giving teachings. And Acharya Chandragomi was just standing, and not really so much, or more like very carefully listening to what Acharya Chandrakirti was teaching. And then initially Acharya Chandrakirti thought that he was just a pilgrim. But this is a very unusual pilgrim, listening to me very attentively and not leaving, right? For like 40-50 minutes standing in one place and listening. So Acharya Chandrakirti started to doubt whether he is just ordinary pilgrim or a great scholar. And then he asked, may I know who you are, sir? Then, are you Acharya Chandragomi? Then Acharya Chandra Gommi said, people call me with this name. So then Acharya Chandra Kirti said that, okay, so in which case you should not come like this. You should not come like this. I will give you a proper reception, right? Please go back to your place and tomorrow I'll invite you. Then the next day, Acharya Chandra Kirti, along with all the monks, received him with great respect, but the monks receiving a lay devotee, the lay practitioner. So what was done was that there were 2 chariots prepared. The first chariot with Arya Manjushri's statue. So outwardly, the monks were inviting Arya Manjushri. And in the second chariot was Acharya Chandra Gommi. And then Acharya Chandra Gommi was invited for what? Gave us such an excellent reception for what? For debate. Okay, then from the next day they started having discussion in the form of a debate. For how many years? 7 years, right? And now we really don't know what exactly is the outcome of the debate. Where are the reports of all these debates? So if you read Acharya Chandra Kirti's text, if you study, more than reading, study. If you study Acharya Chandra Kirti's text, then we see that you can very precisely speculate, we can very precisely conjecture that the debates are all what you find in this text. There's a great length of discussion between Chittamatra and Prasangika, Chittamatra Prasangika. So this we can say that this is outcome of the debates 2 of them had. Okay, such a refined debate. And the Acharya Chandra Kirti, when throwing questions to Acharya Chandra Gommi, on the spot, Acharya Chandra Gommi could not give very good, convincing answers. And the next day, Acharya Chandra Gommi would give brilliant answers. So this happened continuously for some time. Then Acharya Chandra Kirti started to doubt. There must be someone who is teaching this guy. And then one day, he confidentially followed Acharya Chandra Gommi after the debate. Followed. And Acharya Chandra Gommi finally ended up in a very old shrine. He went into the shrine and he just closed the door. And Acharya Chandra Kirti was just eavesdropping. And then he could hear 2 people discussing. Now this must be the discussion happening there. Then he just had a surprise. They opened the door, slammed the door, and then he saw that Arya Avalokiteshvara was teaching Acharya Chandra Gommi. If he says like this, you have to say like this. If he says like this, you have to say like this. What if I say like this? What if he says like this? What should be the answer? You should say like this. All answers being taught by Arya Avalokiteshvara. Then Acharya Chandra Gommi entered, and Arya Avalokiteshvara, he was teaching like this, and he was supposed to pull his hand back as a statue, but he could not. So he turned into a statue like this. Then Acharya Chandra Kirti, he made a complaint to Acharya Arya Avalokiteshvara. Arya Avalokiteshvara, you are the Buddha of compassion. You are the Buddha of compassion for all sentient beings. But today you are biased. You are teaching only him and not me. Then Arya Avalokiteshvara, he came back to life and he said that you don't need my help. You are brilliant. He needs my help. Yeah, so this what you find as a debate there in this book, Entry into the Middle Way. Madhyamika Avatara. Okay, so in this discussion, the question was asked. Madhyamika, Acharya Chandra Kirti, on behalf of Madhyamika, asked question to Acharya Chandra Gommi. So say Chittamatra, what precisely is the answer? Question is that if you say that everything is the nature of the mind, nothing is the externally, what example do you have to convince others? What example? Then Chittamatra said, the dream. So dream is such an effective, powerful example for most of the schools. And what he said is very true. What Chittamatra said is very true. Say, in your dream, right? So we are in Indonesia, and then you dream of being in, say, you dream of being, for example, say in Tibet. right? If you have never been to Tibet, you heard about Tibet all the time, then you dream of being in Tibet. In fact, I've never been to Tibet, I've never seen Tibet, but I dreamed of being in Tibet several times. And then I was seeing the monasteries, I was seeing the things a little dark, and even the details of the walls. I could see all these things in my dream, right? So, however many details, minute details they are, however the millions and trillions of details they are in the dream, when you wake up, you realize that they're all just coming from your mind, right? So now, when you look around, we see that how can I possibly look at this curtain, for example, this curtain with all these crease there, right? Crease there, and all these beautiful white curtains with the folds. And how can my mind just impute all these details, right? And this prayer flags, look at this prayer flags, all the letters, the inscriptions there. How can my mind possibly inscribe all these things? But this is by no means different from the dream. In dream, exactly the same thing happens. And if somebody asks you, are you dreaming? You say, no, all these details, how can I think? How can I create? How can my mind create it? So this will happen in your mind. When you wake up, you see there is nothing but your own dream. So this is what the Chittamatra is saying. What you're all seeing now, what you're all experiencing now, they're nothing but your own mind, the nature of my mind. Okay, so this is Chittamatra. But then what is there? If nothing's there as external, what is there? Your mind is there. Your mind exists. Your mind exists. Okay, so in the West, I think there was one philosopher by the name Descartes. I think somehow what he said was very similar to Chittamatra's, the basic philosophy. What he said was that I don't know whether the environment exists or not, but I exist because I'm thinking. I exist because I'm thinking, right? Other things I'm not too sure, meaning the external things, he's not sure. But Chittamatra is very sure that external things don't exist. What exists? Only youth exists. Only I, meaning my mind exists. And everything is what? The flower exists, yes. Flower does not exist as external. It exists as the nature of the mind, reflection in the mind. Everything exists as the reflection in the mind. So the technical term is, everything exists as the nature of the mind. Don't say that everything is mind, right? Okay. This is Chittamatra. Then the Madhyamika. Madhyamika, they say that even the mind does not exist truly. Not only external things, but even the mind does not exist truly. Okay. Now, one very important distinction that I have to make between Prasangika and Madhyamika. No, Prasangika and Swatantrika Madhyamika. I'd like to make a distinction between these two things first. Both are equal in saying, both are same in saying that nothing exists truly. Prasangika Madhyamika and Swatantrika Madhyamika, both are same in saying nothing exists truly. Nothing exists independently. Now, they differ in one thing. Prasangika says that not only things don't exist truly and independently, they don't exist objectively. In other words, Prasangika says that nothing exists objectively, and Swatantrika Madhyamika says everything exists objectively. Everything exists objectively, but they don't exist truly and independently. Everything exists objectively. Objectively, everything exists intrinsically. Everything exists inherently. Don't forget these three words. Right? Except for Prasangika, all the schools, they accept things to exist objectively, intrinsically, inherently. Don't forget this. Right? Now, all the schools, except for Prasangika, all other schools, they are unanimous in saying things exist objectively, inherently, and intrinsically. Yes. Yes. Okay, good question. So, what is the difference between truly and what? Objectively. Okay. What is it? Today's what? Day 3? Day 2? Huh? Day 3. Okay. So, this is something which all of us should know by day 8 or 9. We all should know this. We all should get this answer by at least by day 8 or 9. What question? What is the difference between objective existence and truly existent? Right? According to South Tantric school, these two are same. Oh, sorry. No. According to Prasangika school, these two are same. According to Prasangika school, these two are same. Truly existent and objectively existent. These two are same. Swatantrika Madhyamika make the distinction. Truly existent does not exist. Objectively existent does exist. Okay, let me say this again. The lower schools, all the lower schools other than the Prasangika, all schools other than Prasangika, what they say is existent and objective existent, these two are synonymous. If something exists, it should exist objectively. This according to all schools other than Prasangika. Existence and objective existence, these two are synonymous. For Prasangika, there's a difference. Existence and objective existence, these two are not the same. Okay, particularly the newcomers, you may feel little, find this little technical. Don't worry. Your job is simply try to pay attention. Pay attention, and from your side, try your best to follow. If not, just try to pay attention to what is being said on the spot. Right? On the spot, you'll for no doubt you'll find it a little technical, and then tomorrow, day after tomorrow, many of what I'm saying now, they will be repeated over and over again. Then things will become easier and easier for you. Right? The thing is, just be attentive when what is being said on the spot. Okay. So, one thing that we need to keep in mind is Prasangika on the one side and all other schools on the other side. So all other schools believe that objective existence and existence, these two are synonymous. For all other schools, existence and what? Objective existence, these two are synonymous, right? You may be wondering, what is objective existence, right? To know these two are synonymous, we need to know what is objective existence. You're very true. It's very right. But for time, let's say like this. Next, Prasangika says that objective existence and existent, these two are not synonymous. There is no objective existence, and existence is there. According to Prasangika, there's nothing exists objectively, but everything does exist. Everything does exist, but nothing exists objectively. So they make a distinction between the two things. Everything exists, one, but nothing exists objectively. So objective existence and existence, these two are not synonymous according to Prasangika. According to lower schools, these two are synonymous. Okay. Now, okay. Okay, now, what we need to keep in mind is that this concept of emptiness which we are studying, which we're learning now, this concept of emptiness, oftentimes people misunderstand it and interpret it very differently, misinterpret. Oh, in Buddhism, nothing exists. Because they talk about selflessness, they talk about emptiness, everything is empty. This is a total confusion. And I do, there are some even the professors, some professors who teach Buddhist philosophy, and even they say like this. They say like this, there are so many confusions there. So we should get a very clear picture of this. What exactly does it mean by emptiness? First we have to understand this. Okay, let's put another thing that I like to share with you is emptiness on the one hand and dependent origination on the other hand. Emptiness on the one hand and dependent origination on the other hand. These two are like the two sides of the same coin. Emptiness and dependent origination. These two are the two sides of the same coin. That we have to understand. Okay. Emptiness on the one hand, dependent origination on the other hand. These two are the two sides of the same coin. Okay. How? How is it that these two are the two sides of the same coin? For this we need to know what is known as, okay, the 5 points. 5 points? Okay. Emptiness and how we derive that emptiness and dependent origination, these are the two sides of the same coin. How do we derive that? So, emptiness, number one, of the 5 points, the first one, emptiness. What does it mean by emptiness? Emptiness is the short form of emptiness of independent existence. Don't forget it. Emptiness is the short form of emptiness of independent existence. Number two is emptiness of independent existence. Emptiness doesn't mean empty. It is a short form of emptiness of independent existence. Okay, we speak of WHO, right? You heard about WHO? Who? What is who? What is this WHO? World Health Organization. Don't think that is who, right? So it's a short form of World Health Organization. It is not checking who are who, right? It is checking World Health Organization. It is a short form of World Health Organization. Likewise, emptiness does not mean empty. It is a short form of emptiness of independent existence. Don't forget it. So number one is emptiness. Number two is emptiness of independent existence. Okay, number two. Now number three. What does it mean by emptiness of independent existence? It means nothing exists independently. Nothing exists independently. You're getting it? Number three. Nothing exists independently. Nothing exists independently. Okay. Number four, what does it mean by nothing exists independently? It means everything exists by dependence. Number four, everything exists by dependence. Number four, everything exists by dependence. Number four, right? Because everything exists by dependence, everything is dependently existent, dependent origination. Right? Everything is dependently originated. Dependently originated. Okay. And let us try to recapitulate what these 5 points are. Number one, emptiness. What does it mean by emptiness? What is number two? Emptiness is the short form or the abbreviated form of emptiness of independent existence. Number two. What does it mean by emptiness of independent existence? It means nothing exists independently. Number three. What does it mean by nothing exists independently? Number four. Everything exists by dependence. Number four. What does it mean by everything exists by dependence? Everything is dependently originated. You're getting it? So from this derivation, we see that emptiness means dependent origination. You're getting it? It is for this reason that we say emptiness and dependent origination. These two are the two sides of the same coin. You're getting it? Now, oftentimes people ask this question. People ask this question as to, okay, when you think about emptiness, it's fine. But with emptiness, how can we bring the emptiness compatible with the functionality? How can we bring emptiness as compatible with functionality? It means emptiness, okay, things dissolve, it's fine, things dissolve. But when things dissolve, then the functionality is also dissolved. You cannot posit, you cannot account for the functional world. So
while accepting emptiness, how can you acknowledge the functionality of the world? This is the question. So the functionality of the world is accounted for on the basis of the other side, which is dependent origination. But depends on this, but depends on the wheel, but it depends on the fuel, the engine and so forth, the car moves. Car moving is originated, right? By dependence on these factors, then the car moving, a moving car is originated. Things comes into origination by dependence on the other factors, dependent origination. Okay, with this, when we see that emptiness and dependent origination as the two sides of the same coin, now we should, on this basis, we should understand how emptiness should not be understood as nihilism. How emptiness should not be understood as nihilism. So this is what I'm saying. That one time, one professor so confidently in a conference, he said that, oh, in Buddhism, nothing is there. Nothing is there in Buddhism. Buddhism talks about selflessness. It talks about emptiness. Then it was really shocking. Such a misinterpretation of the concept of emptiness. So now, if you happen to be under such situation where you meet with people saying like this, you should be able to make a very convincing clarification, right? Okay. Now the next question is, how is it not that emptiness means nothingness or nihilism? Okay. So from how we understand this is, first we have to see emptiness in the light of dependent origination, right? From these 5 derivations. Now once you know that emptiness should be seen as dependent origination, on the basis of dependent origination, then we can see that emptiness is freed of the 2 extremes, extreme of absolutism and extreme of nihilism. Rejecting the 2 extremes is following the middle way. So emptiness is not nothingness, it is the middle way. You getting it? Okay. So how is emptiness the middle way? Step 1, emptiness is the other side of dependent origination. Now, dependent origination means the middle way. How? This is what we know. Dependent origination has 2 sides. What are the 2 sides? Dependent and origination. Yes? No? Dependent origination has 2 sides. The first one is dependent and the other one is origination. Dependent, origination. There are 2 sides. Yes? No? Good. So, dependent, the first one, dependent. When we say dependent, what is the opposite of dependent? Independent. Independent and absolute, these 2 are the same. So when you say dependent, it rejects independence, it rejects absolutism, right? But the first part, dependence, it rejects absolutism. Extreme of absolutism is rejected by the first part, which is dependent. Okay, now one extreme is rejected. Origination. Origination means something comes into origination. Something comes into existence. You agree with me or not? What is the opposite of existence? Non-existence or nihilism. So, but the second part, origination, nihilism, non-existent, nihilism is rejected. Right? Now, dependent, it rejects absolutism. Origination rejects nihilism. When you bring the 2 together, dependent and origin together, then the 2 extremes are rejected. Right? Rejecting the 2 extremes is following the middle way. So emptiness is not nihilism. Emptiness means dependent origination. And dependent origination is the middle way. Therefore, emptiness is the middle way. It is not the nihilism. It is the middle way. This is extremely important, right? Okay, this is what we need to know. Now, in this connection, dependent origination, we need to know 3 levels of dependent origination. We need to know 3 levels of dependent origination. In fact, say His Holiness the Dalai Lama teaches on dependent origination, and sometimes on 2 levels, sometimes with 3 levels. Okay. So, if 3 levels, then 3 levels is what we are talking now. So 1 is the dependent origination of results dependence on causes, or in other words, causal dependency. Dependent origination of the results dependence on causes. One, dependent origination of the results dependence on causes. For example, say apple fruit come into being because of as a result of the apple tree as the cause, and apple tree came into being by dependence on the apple seed as the cause. So the causal dependency. This is the first level of dependent origination. Number two, dependent origination of the whole's dependence on the parts. Whole meaning the complete whole. W-H-O-L-E. The whole's dependence on parts. Whole's dependence on parts. This is number two. Dependent, which means that, say we see this as a whole. This word, the whole as something, one unit, as one entity. This whole, but this entity is this whole as a whole comes into being by dependence on the parts, like the ceiling, then the windows, the walls, the floor, and so forth. By depends on these, then by depends on these factors, the parts, then the whole comes into being. So that is known as the dependent origination of the whole's dependence on the parts. Number three is dependent origination of dependent origination of mere dependence on dependent origination of dependence on the mere mental imputation. Dependent origination of dependence on mere mental imputation. I-M-P-U-T-A-T-I-O-N. Imputation. Imputation. I-M-P-U-T-A-T-I-O-N. Mere mental imputation. Imputation slash designation. Mere mental designation, mere mental imputation, same. And so most of you may be wondering as to what is mental imputation, what is mental designation. Don't worry about this. This is what we have to study, all these things. And where you don't understand, where you think that you should know this, and I said that this is what we're going to cover, mark them, right? Either highlight them or mark them. Make sure that if we don't cover them by day 8, right, you must ask them. You must bring them once more in the class. Okay, right? So those things which I said that this is very important, we will cover eventually. If you come to know that these points are not covered, like the day 8, then you must bring them up in this class. This is very important. Okay, so the 3 levels of dependent origination. The first one is pretty easy, which means that all the results that come into being by dependence on the causes. This is one level of dependent origination. So this one, the first dependent origination is applicable not to all phenomena. It is only applicable to the impermanent phenomena. First level of dependent origination is applicable only to impermanent phenomena or compounded phenomena. Impermanent phenomena, compounded phenomena, composite phenomena, they are synonymous. So first level of dependent origination is applicable only to impermanent phenomena, right? Okay. Then dependent origination number 2 and 3. These two are applicable for all phenomena. For all phenomena. The dependent origination level 2 and 3 are applicable to all phenomena, composite as well as non-composite, permanent as well as impermanent, applicable to all phenomena. Okay, now I like to touch on this area. Compounded and uncompounded, right? What is meant by compound? What is permanent phenomena? What is impermanent phenomena? Right? Okay, how many of you at least intellectually know what is impermanent phenomena? How many of you know? Okay, how many of you don't know? impermanent phenomena, which means things which are changing, right? Okay, let's say, this is very important. Okay. Okay, that would be helpful. Yeah. Okay, let's say that we will try to classify all phenomena into, say, the 5 groups, or let's say into 3 groups. Let's classify everything that comes to your mind, anything that comes to your mind, whether existent, whether non-existent, whether fantasized, whether the reality, whatever that comes to your mind, we will classify them into 3 groups. The first group, let's say, the first group, let's say, other-powered nature. Other-powered nature, the first. Number 2 is imputed nature. Number 2 is imputed nature. Number 3 is thoroughly established nature. Thoroughly established nature. THOROUGH. Thoroughly, L-Y. Thoroughly established nature. First one is other-powered nature. Number 2 is imputed nature. Number 3 is thoroughly established nature. Okay, so the first one, other-powered nature. The first one, other-powered nature and impermanent phenomena. These two are synonymous. Other-powered nature and impermanent phenomena. These two are synonymous. Right? Okay. How these are synonymous? We try to understand it. Impermanent phenomena means a cause which does not remain static. It changes to take the form of the result. The cause changing into the result. Therefore it is not static, it is changing, it is impermanent. So anything which is a cause which eventually gives rise to result is changing. Only if there is a change, then the cause can give rise to result. If there is no change, then the cause will always remain as cause, and it will never give rise to result. So the fact that the result is given means it changes. Now, say other-powered nature. Other-powered nature means anything which comes into being by the power of other causes. Other-powered nature. Anything which comes into being by the power of other causes. That is other-powered nature. So, from this we see that there's a cause-effect relationship. Other-powered nature means something which comes into being by the power of causes. Dependence on causes is change, impermanence. So impermanent phenomena and other-powered nature, these two are synonymous. One. Okay. Okay, with this, it may be good to put it like this. Say, don't forget the 3 things. What are the 3 things? Other-powered nature. What are the 3 natures? Other-powered nature, imputed nature, thoroughly established nature, right? Don't forget this. Now, on the other hand, without forgetting this, let's say that in a mind, whatever comes to a mind, just check whether you agree with me or not. Whatever comes to your mind, whether existent, non-existent, we can group them into 2 main groups. Those which are existent and those which are non-existent. Okay, can you give me an example of something which is non-existent? Anyone, quick? Horn of a rabbit, very good. Anything else? Dream tiger? Okay, dream tiger. Interesting. Dream tiger exists or not exists? How many say dream tiger does not exist? Dream tiger does not exist. Okay, 1, 2. How many say dream tiger does exist? What about those people who did not raise their hands at all? Half exists, half not exists? Huh? Okay. How many say dream tiger does exist? Okay. How would you defend your position? Dream tiger exists. Huh? How would you defend a position? Anyone who likes to defend a position? Huh? Okay, you saw in your dream. Okay, rabbit hole, does it exist? Rabbit hole. Rabbit hole, you saw it in dream? Sometimes it does happen, right? Okay, so simply because you saw that in dream doesn't mean that it exists, right? Okay, now defend your position. So this is not a good position. This is not a good defense. Okay, anyone who can defend a position? Dream tiger does exist. Yes, here. Okay, say you saw a tiger in the zoo, and then you dream of tiger. You dream of the tiger, which means the dream tiger exists. Okay, then rabbit horn exists? Not exists. Does it? Rabbit, you saw rabbit, you saw horn, right? You saw a rabbit, and you saw horn on the cow, and in the dream, the dream is a mix, right? And the rabbit horn comes to a dream, so rabbit horn should also exist, right? Okay. Anyone else who likes to defend it? Yes, over there.
Hello. Yeah. Okay. I think the dream tiger, right?
Yes.
Does not exist because.
It does not exist.
Does exist. My stand is it does exist because it's a dream tiger. It's in the nature of the mind, and the mind exists. The rabbit horn. Is it the horn of the rabbit or the rabbit horn doesn't exist, but the dream rabbit horn does exist.
Okay.
Yeah. Because dream rabbit horn is in the nature of the mind, and the mind exists. Yeah?
Vishen?
A dream tiger exists as a dream tiger.
Very good.
The dream of
okay.
the tiger in this hall, the tiger in this hall doesn't exist, but the dream of the tiger in this hall exists.
Dream tiger, say in this hall, say that tiger in this hall does not exist. Tiger in this hall does not exist, but you can dream of a tiger in this hall. So, although the dream tiger, it does not exist as a tiger, but it does exist as a dream. Right? Likewise, the horn of a rabbit. Horn of a rabbit does not exist. The dream horn of a rabbit, dream tiger, dream horn of a rabbit, dream horn of a rabbit does not exist as a horn of a rabbit, but it exists as a dream horn of a rabbit, right? So the dream tiger does exist. Now, can you give an example of anything which does not exist? Okay, one example is cleared. The dream, no. A horn of a rabbit, that is non-existent. Very good. Anything else? Huh? Sky flower. Okay. Okay. Just let us keep aside all the traditional examples. Okay. Okay. Any other? No, you don't.
Dancing Geshe-la.
Huh?
Dancing Geshe-la.
Okay. We don't know. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Huh? Castle in the air. The castle. Very good. Castle in the air. Anything else? Huh? Blue snow mountain. Very good. Okay, let's say that there are things which come to our mind which may not necessarily exist. Right? Oftentimes, we have so much of expectation with non-existent things. Non-existent things which never happen, and we expect that to happen, and stress builds up. Right? Okay. So there are so many the fantasies coming to our mind. Right? Okay, with this, they are non-existent things. So they fall into one group. Then the second one is existent things. Okay, can you give me a quick one or two examples of existent things? Flower, very good. Okay, so existent, you have so many examples. Right? So existent things. Now, what we do is we are going to classify, we are going to explore, and those things which we are able to pinpoint, we don't divide any further, try to keep them in a mind. Right? Okay. We said that existent and non-existent. And non-existent, I did not divide any further. What we are not going to divide further, keep them in a mind. Okay, one. Existent, I'm going to divide into two. What is existent can be divided into two. One is permanent phenomena and other is impermanent phenomena. You getting it? Permanent phenomena and impermanent phenomena. Okay, existent can be divided into permanent and impermanent. Okay, now impermanent, I'm not going to divide any further. Permanent, I'm going to divide into two, right? Right? Ultimate reality, which is emptiness, which we're going to study now. Emptiness, which is the ultimate reality, and permanent phenomena other than the ultimate reality. Right? Permanent phenomena can be divided into ultimate reality and permanent phenomena other than ultimate reality. Okay, now tell me, how many of the things are there which we did not divide any further? How many? 4, 5, 6? How many were there which we did not divide any further? 2? Only 2. 3. Okay. Non-existent? Okay. Then impermanent phenomena? Then the ultimate reality? Then permanent phenomena other than ultimate reality? 4, right? How many? Okay, let us do this again. Okay, never mind. We still have a few days. Okay, let's say what comes to a mind can be divided into many more divisions, and which we divide, and finally the things which we don't divide any further, don't forget these things. These are things which we're going to put them into groups. Okay, main groups. Same, existent and non-existent. Non-existent, for example, say, oh, I'm a Buddha. I'm not a Buddha, I'm an ordinary person, and you think that I'm a Buddha. It happens sometimes. You know about this? Once in America, there was one, some of you may be knowing, the amazing great saint, the Kirti Senshya Rinpoche, Venerable Kirti Senshya Rinpoche. Amazing. You just see him and you'll find the joy in him. Kirti Senshya Rinpoche. He was touring. He was going through a teaching tour. And he with his attendants. And just you meet him and there's such a smile, amazing, appealing smile there on his face. And then there was one American gentleman. Suddenly they met with one American gentleman. The American gentleman, he said, then he saw that the Kirti Senshya was very special. And he said, "Oh sir, you are a Buddha." And Kirti Senshya, he doesn't speak English, and he's so gentle, and he just smiled, and he said, "Oh, you are a Buddha." And Kirti Senshya smiled, stayed there, and then he said, "I'm also Buddha." Right? So he thinks that he's a Buddha. Right? This is non-existent phenomena for the time being. For the time being, it was non-existent phenomena. So illusions are there, fantasies are there. So these are all non-existent phenomena. Non-existent, one thing. Now existent, non-existent, I'm not going to divide further. Non-existent. Now existent, we're going to divide into two: permanent and impermanent. Right? Permanent and impermanent. Impermanent, I'm going to divide, not going to divide further. Now permanent, I'm going to divide further. Ultimate reality. Ultimate reality, one. And permanent phenomena other than ultimate reality, 2. You're getting it? Okay. So things that comes to your mind can be divided into how many things? No, that comes to your mind, or let us start from the beginning. That anything that comes to your mind can be divided into two. What are they? Existent, non-existent. So non-existent we're not going to divide in further. Existent we divide further into two: permanent and impermanent. Impermanent we're not going to divide further. Permanent divided into 2. What? Ultimate reality and permanent phenomena other than ultimate reality, right? So total, how many things are there which we finally come to, which we did not divide any further? How many? Four. What are the four? Tell me. Non-existent, impermanent, ultimate reality, permanent phenomena other than ultimate reality. Okay, you should be very clear. Non-existent, impermanent, ultimate reality, permanent phenomena other than ultimate reality. Four. You're getting, don't forget these four here. On my left hand, the four things there. On my right hand, the three natures. What are the three natures? You forgot, I know. Other powered nature, imputed nature, thoroughly established nature. Okay, now what we do is that we try to tally these two things. We try to tally those two things. So anything that comes to our mind should necessarily fall into these three natures as well as these four divisions. What is the four divisions on my left hand and the three natures on my right hand? Everything that comes to our mind should necessarily come into, everything should be subsumed under these two groups. So under the three natures, under the four divisions on my left, right? Okay, so let's say, from the four, what is the first one? Non-existent. What's number two? Impermanent phenomena. Very good. Okay, if I have a PowerPoint, right and left, then it becomes very easy for you. If it is easy, you will not learn anything, right? So it's your exercise. On your right hand, the three natures. On the left hand, the four divisions, right? Okay, of the four divisions, what is the second? Impermanent phenomena, right? Okay, you are looking at your notes. You're not looking at this, the thought. Okay, impermanent phenomena. So this falls under, of the three natures, it falls under other powered nature. Other powered nature and impermanent phenomena, these two are synonymous. So impermanent phenomena will go into the other powered nature. You're getting it? One. Now what is after impermanent nature? Ultimate reality. Ultimate reality falls under the thoroughly established nature. Of the three natures, the third one. Ultimate reality falls under the thoroughly established nature. Okay, now of the four divisions, what is left? Non-existence and permanent phenomena other than ultimate reality. These two things are there. These two things go into the imputed nature there. You're getting it? These two things go into imputed nature. Okay, now it is, now after knowing these, all these four things, four groups, four divisions falling under three natures so well, okay, now I'll ask you some questions. You give an answers. Okay, your job is to tell me. I'll simply cite. I'll simply throw you some examples or some illustrations or the instances, and your job is to tell me which of the three groups it falls into. Okay, Indonesia. Indonesia falls under which of the three groups? Other powered nature. Very good. Okay. Say the emptiness. Thoroughly established nature. Okay. The dream tiger. Dream tiger. Dream tiger. I'm not talking about the tiger in this hall. Tiger in this hall. Where does it fall? Tiger in this hall. Tiger in this hall falls under? Tiger in this hall falls under which? Other powered, imputed, somebody can say thoroughly established. Then all three are complete. Okay, the tiger in this hall falls under which of the three natures? Tiger in this hall. If it is other powered, it should be impermanent. If it is impermanent, it should be existent. Then we should all be running away from this hall. Tiger in this hall. Tiger in this hall, is it existent or non-existent? If it is non-existent, it cannot be impermanent phenomena, because impermanent should be a division of existent. You're getting it? Okay, other power, the tiger in this hall falls under the imputed nature. Now I'm talking about the dream tiger, not the tiger in this hall. I'm talking about the dream tiger. Dream tiger falls under which of the three natures? Dream tiger. Imaginary tiger. Tiger in this hall also under imputed. Imaginary tiger also under imputed. Dream tiger also imputed. Okay. Okay, say the word, which is done. The tiger in this hall is finished. Now the dream tiger. Dream tiger falls where? Other powered? Imputed? Okay, dream tiger falls under imputed. You are right. It's imputed. Then what about the imaginary tiger? You can imagine a tiger. So that imaginary tiger, does it exist or not? Imaginary tiger, does it exist or not? Imaginary tiger, does it exist as an imaginary tiger? Yes. Oh, so it does exist, although it does not exist as a tiger, right? So therefore, we are so keen to look for something solid, tiger, right? Imaginary tiger, it does exist not as a tiger, it exists as an imaginary tiger. It's fine, right? So imaginary tiger does exist, but which of the three natures it falls under? Again, imputed nature? Huh? Yes, under imputed nature. Very good. Now the next question is, okay, anyone, can you remember why we are doing all these things in order to what? In order to understand what? Huh? Do you remember? Huh? No, way before that. Oh, wow. All right, emptiness, let's say Bodhicitta retreat. That'll be even better. All right, it's very comprehensive. Okay, we are trying to explore what is meant by compounded, what is not meant by uncompounded. Because this is where the South Tantrika school, the second school, we are talking about the breakthrough of the philosophy, where South Tantrika for the first time says that, formally says that it is not necessary for something to exist. It should not necessarily exist as something very solid out there, as things can come from the mind also. You are getting it? So to understand this, we are trying to introduce the concept of the compounded, uncompounded. Or other translations have it, composite and non-composite. You are getting it? Okay. Say, to be very direct, let's say space. Okay, you know physical form? We are made of 6 elements. The solid part, element of earth, the solid part. Then element of water, for example, the blood. Element of fire, the body heat. Element of air, the air which we breathe in and out. Then the element of space, element of space. Then the element of consciousness. 6. So we are basically constituted of the 6 elements. So this book is constituted of, say, how many leaves? 150, 160, 165 leaves. This book is made of, although we see this as a solid book, but it's nothing but made of the parts, 165 leaves, individual leaves. Put together, we see this as a book. Likewise, we are nothing but made of 6 elements. Put them together, we see them as Dorji, and this, you, he, she. We see them as one entity. Otherwise, in actuality, we are nothing but made of these 6 elements. Now, from these 6 elements, say, the element earth, water, fire, air, these 4 are more physical. Now, one which is metal is the element of consciousness. Now, one which is space. Space belongs to what? Space, element of space. It belongs to which of the 3 natures? Space belongs to which of the 3 natures? Other powered, imputed, or thoroughly established nature? Zoe? Thoroughly established. Space. Okay. Thoroughly established and ultimate reality, these 2 are synonymous. Right? Space? No. Thoroughly established nature and ultimate reality, these 2 are synonymous. Don't forget it. Right? The space, is it ultimate reality? No. It is not ultimate reality, right? Space is not ultimate reality. Now tell me, what do you understand by space? What do you understand by space? Anyone? Just give an example of space. Okay, philosopher, I know you are influenced by philosophy. Okay, something which is free from obstruction. Okay, just speak your mind. what do you understand by the space other than your name? Stephanie, what other than what Stephanie said? Stephanie said something which is free of obstructions, right? This is very good. Keep that aside. But just speak your mind. What do you understand by space? Distance between the object and yourself, the distance between the two objects. Good way of the explanation. Anyone else? Space. By the way, do you have any access to space? When do you have the access to space? When? Now. Where? Here. Where? Where's the space? Around. Do you see that? Do you see that space? Hey? Yes. Do you see this space? Yes. Okay. Now, the space is of two kinds. The space which we see and the space which we cannot see. Space which we see is known as compounded space. Space which we see is known as compounded space or, compounded space. Compounded space. And space which we cannot see is known as uncompounded space. Space which we cannot see is uncompounded space. Right? Okay. Now what is the space which we cannot see? What is that uncompounded space like? Anyone? Anyone from ABC, their programs, right? What is that ABC program? Basic program. Okay. Those people who already did, who are doing the basic ABC program, and those who are doing master's course, okay, or anyone else who likes to share with us as to what exactly does it mean, or what do you mean, what do you understand by uncompounded space? The space which we see now, this is, okay, by the way, do you know that there's a space between you and me? Yes? Okay, so how do you know this? How do you know that there's a space between you and me? Through your eye consciousness, by seeing. Through your eye consciousness, I could see the gap, right? So I'll freely move my hand. I can freely move my hand, whereas if somebody is next to me sitting like this, I cannot freely move my hand. So I know that I cannot stretch my arms, I should sit like this. I know that because the space is very small. I know this through my eyes. You're getting it? Okay. Now the unseen, the space which cannot be seen, which is known as uncompounded space. What do you understand by uncompounded space? Anyone? Okay, that's true. Okay. For example, the stomach, right? Stomach inside, before we eat the food, is maybe empty. So that space, we cannot see, that's true, but we can see that through endoscopy, right? That we can see through endoscopy is fine. Okay, so anything else, the space which cannot see, which is also known as uncompounded space. Even this space in the stomach, this is also compounded space, right? This compounded space. Now, can you speak about uncompounded space? Yes, over there. Jeffrey?
Geshe, is it the space experienced by mental consciousness?
A space experienced by
mental
consciousness. Like what?
Like mind meditation on the space, on the experience of spacious mind.
Okay. Say my meditation of the spacious mind. Spacious mind is not space, it's mind.
But you in the mind you experience space. That means
a space, right?
Space.
In your mind, you have the experience of the space. So say whether or not that is the space. Okay, this is a good question, but a very complicated point, right? I would say that this can be generic image of a space. Okay, those of you who are beginners, you don't worry about it. It's generic image of space, it's not space, right? It's not space. And if you are really to a high level samadhi and see that as space, that is a compounded space. Okay, I still want to know what is uncompounded space. Anyone? Yes, Vishen?
The space that I can see, I know that there's no obstruction there. So this quality of the absence of obstruction is uncompounded space. And even if there's something there, I know that it is occupying
Okay, we can keep in mind that there are so many others who need to really understand what Vichen is saying, right? Okay, so Vichen is saying that the space that we are seeing, this is compounded space. Now this space which we are seeing, it has many attributes. One of which is that it does not have the obstruction. So the quality of this space, the visible space, one of the qualities is that it is absent of obstruction. So the quality of the absence of the obstruction, which is one of the attributes of this space, is known as the uncompounded space, right? Okay, so this is what Vichen is saying is 100% correct. And if you don't get it, still don't worry, right? Okay, now we will go further. We'll go further. This is something which we have to learn the next few days. That is very important, right? And particularly, I'm going to introduce you to the concept of the entities and isolates. From there, things will become very clear for you. So that will make much easier for you. The next question is, so this quality, I'm not going to go into detail as yet. This quality of the absence of obstruction, how can you say that this is uncompounded? Uncompounded meaning which is not composite phenomena, which is a permanent phenomena. So uncompounded as a permanent. So this is what we're going to learn, right? Okay, we're not going to go into so much into this now. The next class we'll go into this, right? Entities and isolates. The next class. From this, things will become easy for you. Okay, we'll stop here for break.